Well, what a great show with Suzanne Keating and Gerard Stoop with the Worldwide Business Club. Listening to that conversation we've had, that's why I've just, for those who are wondering, I've just jumped on the chair and won't let them leave the studio. But you said some very interesting comments in that interview, and I just want to get your take on both of it, just to explore them a little bit deeper. And you were saying to progress forward and to be successful, we're really talking about business here, you made the comment about step outside your comfort zone. Mm. That has probably got to be one of the things that causes anxiety, but how do people actually do that, and why should they not be afraid of doing it?
Do you want me to answer that first? And then, listen, if you're going to set yourself up as a business owner, you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone, because that's what it's all about. If you want to grow, you want to be innovative, you need to be able to step outside. Why you shouldn't be afraid of it? Well, you're going to be afraid of it if you're afraid of failure. If you're afraid of being vulnerable to failure, you're really probably setting up your own business and not the place to go. Because once you step outside your comfort zone, you are opening yourself up to failure. You're opening yourself up to success, but you're also opening yourself up to failure. And you have to know that every single one of us, no business owner has ever succeeded without failing multiple times. So your goal is to get good at failing, and then you'll be successful. Yeah.
I can see you smiling there, Gerard.
Yeah, we did a series of failing forward.
All right. Okay.
And it's about making mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And the one thing that one of our coaches said, you know, if you fail 99% of the time, it's okay. It's that 1% that counts. And in business, as soon as you start to get comfortable, then the red light needs to go on, because that means that you are stagnating. Yeah. So you need to be uncomfortable. It needs to be part of your DNA to be uncomfortable. Yeah. But with that comes other things like anxiety, like fear. So yes, it's part of being in business.
Yeah, I agree. I mentioned Brené Brown's work earlier on, and Brené Brown talks a lot about the idea of vulnerability is showing up, allowing yourself to be seen when you have no control over the outcome. Now, to me, that's business.
Exactly.
You need to show up, you need to allow yourself to be seen, and you really don't have control over the outcome. So taking that step out of that comfort zone is really important.
As you said, you made the comment that failure does go with success. This is probably a cultural question from Australia, and the US seem to accept failure a lot easier than Australians. You know, if you're bankrupt in the US, it's kind of a badge of honour, and it just proves you're going to be good as you get your next business. But in Australia, there seems to be a culture around failure being a bad thing. Do you think that culture is changing in Australia, or how do we overcome a culture that's kind of got a negative connotation if you fail the first time in business or fail at anything?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just Australian. I mean, I'm Irish, you probably get from the accent, and certainly failure it's frowned upon. It's a negative thing, because with failure comes shame, vulnerability and shame, and all of us want to hide from shame and vulnerability. So none of us like to fail. But it's understanding that mindset that failure are steps towards success. Each time you fall, it's about learning, but it's how do you get back up? You know what, when you're face down and things are really bad and you're feeling like you're being judged, very often the thing is that the voices that you think are judging you are usually inside your own head. Like,
it's not other people.
Yeah, it's not other people. It's you telling yourself you're not good enough. That I can't do this, I can't move forward, I'm not good, I can't do sales, I just can't do sales, I'm not good enough. And that's the mindset you have, a really fixed mindset that you cannot learn, you cannot develop, that this is all I can do and I'm not good at that. But it's your own judgment.
But I also believe, I think we in a society, it's all about status. And we are so scared that our status is going to be influenced if we fail, and people are going to say, he didn't make it. Yeah. You know, and some people like to see you fail. You know. And one of our coaches, JT, always says, you know, if they start to pull you down, it's because they're below you.
Yeah.
You know? So you just take it for what it is.
It's tall poppy syndrome. Is that what's called in Australia?
Yes, yeah, that's what it's called in Australia. Yeah. You made another interesting comment as well, and I do agree with you that a lot of the voices in your head are actually your own voices. Which might scare a few of us. Probably got a few people living inside, but
quiet.
Well, it is about quietening them. That is a really good way of looking at it. It's about quietening those voices. Where those voices come from, is another topic for another day.
Tune back in, folks. But you made a really interesting, and this is one that I do that really resonated with me, and I think a lot of people, you talked about it as being on stage and trying to practice breathing technique when you're on stage and not practicing when you're relaxed. And I find a lot of business owners, and get your take on this, it's when things go wrong, they suddenly start, oh, what new thing can I learn? And it's acting under desperation, then wonder why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Is the time to practice anything in business, getting with good networking groups and getting with people who can mentor you, but practice in a relaxed state, not when things are going wrong?
You won't learn anything when you're anxious. We just know that. You won't. So if you want to learn a new skill, if you want to get better at business, if you want to develop anything, you need to learn that when you're in a state of where you're feeling safe. If you're feeling threatened at any level, our brains are not wired to learn. What we're doing at that stage is protecting ourselves, and you don't learn while you're trying to protect yourself. So we need to be taking it when we're relaxed and we feel comfortable. If you're with mentors where you feel comfortable, or you're with a network group where you feel like it's okay to say, I'm not too good at that. You know, I don't know anything about marketing or whatever it is. And it's okay. Yeah, that's where you will learn. But it is about practice, practice, practice.
But sorry, I always say it's like a sports team. You know, a sports team practice 90% of the time and play the game 10%. Yeah. You know, and that's why they're so good at it. It's because they practice more.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would agree.
And is this why we hear even the really multi-billionaire successful people still have mentors around them, still have coaches and consultants around them, because what they're doing is creating a safe environment where they can talk to someone trusted, where they can actually relax and learn new skills? Yeah.
I mean, and I also believe, I agree with that, and I also believe that what you're tapping into there is that it's a mindset that they have. It's a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. That would be like based on Carl Dweck's work. And a fixed mindset is I know it and I'm an expert. A growth mindset, like these people who are really successful, will constantly feel like, okay, it's okay to keep learning and to keep growing, and I don't know everything, and I don't have to be, you know, expert on everything. So they will have all these experts around them. And if you can get that, even as a small business person, if you can bring in the experts and you can get a really good, you know, tribe or support team around you, you're much more on your way to success than if you're trying to do everything alone.
I always say, you know, a clever person learns from his mistakes, but a genius learns from other people's mistakes. Yeah. Yeah. And when you have these coaches around you, they've been to other companies, they've seen what happened, they bring that expertise into your business. Yeah. Make use of it, you know. And what stops people sometimes is that ego. Yeah, so you need to be open to learn as well. Yeah, I
would agree. And I think that it does come back to the whole idea of the mindset. If you have a fixed mindset where you believe, I am the expert, and I have to hold that persona in front of everyone. So if I ask for help, or I look vulnerable, or I look like I'm anxious, well then other people will know that I'm not the expert, or I am not all-knowing. Whereas if you have a growth mindset where you know I can grow, I can develop, no matter what my level of skill are, whether I'm this good or this good, I can still grow and learn from other people around me. I'm
smiling because it reminds me of some of the politicians. They feel like they have to have all the answers when we'd be quite accepting. They said, well, I'll have to get back to you on that because I don't know. So it is being able to be confident enough to say to someone, I haven't got all of that information, I'd have to check for you and get back to you.
I think it's really being confident in that in yourself, giving yourself permission before you, it's not necessarily saying to us, but giving yourself permission to realise, I don't have to know everything. There's so much more I can learn and grow. But some of us feel that we need to know everything.
I'm going to ask you one more question. It's a little bit off the topic what you said, but when you're talking to me so much and you're talking about this growth mindset and how we go through things, how important do you think it is, or do you think it is important to keep diaries and journals and log all this down? Do you think it really helps with your growth?
For me, even in therapy, as a clinician, I will always encourage my clients to keep a journal. It's incredibly important, and there's lots of research out there that will tell you that even to be able to, and it's when you're keeping a journal, one of the things I will say, it's not about correct grammar and nice writing and making it, it isn't about that. It's about getting all those thoughts and ideas down and having them there so that they're recorded and they're held, and you know, it's out of your head and it's on paper. But
for me, it's an added benefit to that is that sometimes you got the gut feeling. Yeah. And when you write something down and say, you know, I've got a feeling about this, and you can go back 6 months later and you can go and see and say, my gut feeling was right. Then people will start to trust the gut feeling as well, because people don't do that anymore. So I also believe in writing things down. I've got my books for the last 15 years.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
Absolutely fantastic. I am very conscious of your time. Thanks for staying back. I just couldn't help but jump in and ask a few more questions. You don't normally get the opportunity to get two people like yourself together. So I hope the Worldwide Business Club members appreciate a bit of behind-the-scenes chat with both of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.